Top Gun isn't just an 80s classic. It's a full-blown adrenaline rush with more hidden details than a classified Navy file. From real fighter pilot cameos to Easter eggs you'll only catch on your 10th rewatch, this movie is packed with secrets even the biggest fans missed. So grab your aviators, cue the danger zone, and buckle up because we're counting down 20 hidden details in Top Gun you probably never noticed. Number 1, the real Top Gun school's reaction. Alright, first up, let's talk about the actual Top Gun school. Yeah, it actually exists. It's officially called the U.S. Navy Fighter Weapons School, and back in the 80s it was based in Miramar, California. Now it's in Nevada. When Hollywood came knocking, the Navy said, "Sure, but don't make us look ridiculous." And, well, they kinda did anyway. The real instructors rolled their eyes at Maverick's stunts. Buzzing the tower would have earned you a mountain of paperwork and maybe a new job cleaning toilets. Still, the Navy couldn't complain too much because Top Gun turned into the world's most effective recruitment ad. They literally set up enlistment booths outside theaters. Imagine walking out of the movie thinking, "Yeah, I could totally do that," then realizing real jets don't come with dramatic lighting or Kenny Loggins playing in the background. Unsurprisingly, a lot of people fell for the PR stunt that is Top Gun, but we'll talk more on that in Fact 11. Number 2, the bar scene was based on real Navy antics. You know that painfully cheesy scene where Maverick and Goose serenade Charlie with, "You've lost that lovin' feelin'"? Turns out, that wasn't just Tom Cruise being extra. It was inspired by real-life Navy pilot behavior. Apparently, actual fighter pilots used to do that kind of thing in bars. It was sort of a ritual. A few beers in, someone would start singing and the rest of the squadron would join in like an off-key choir with too much confidence, and apparently it was all in good fun, depending on which side of the serenade you were on. Some women laughed, some ran for the exit, and a few probably questioned the entire military recruitment process. The Navy guys thought it was charming. Everyone else called it Tuesday night. Number 3, the missing MiG-28. Okay, let's talk about the bad guys' jets, the MiG-28s. It's completely made up. There's no such jet in the Soviet arsenal. It sounds menacing, sure, but it's as fictional as Maverick's sense of humility. The filmmakers needed a Cold War villain plane, so they grabbed some American F-5 Tigers, painted them black, slapped on red stars, and said, "Boom, Russian now." It's movie logic at its finest. In real life, those F-5s were actually used by the U.S. Navy for training. Basically enemy roleplay practice. So yes, the bad guys in Top Gun were actually flying U.S. jets pretending to be Soviet ones. It's like cosplay, but with afterburners and military funding. Number 4, Tom Cruise's height hacks. Tom Cruise, actor, daredevil, Scientology spokesperson, and let's be real, not exactly NBA material. At around 5 feet 7 inches, Cruise had to work a little Hollywood magic to stand eye to eye with his much taller co-stars, so director Tony Scott used every trick in the book: tilted camera angles, custom boots, apple boxes, and some strategic standing spots. In that famous bar scene with Kelly McGillis, who's 5 feet 10 inches, she's either barefoot or sitting down so Maverick can look, well, Maverick-sized. Same story with Val Kilmer. The guy's over 6 feet, but movie magic somehow shrinks the difference. It's impressive, honestly. Cruise has made an entire career out of defying gravity and the metric system. The man might not be tall, but his confidence has its own zip code. Number 5, Val Kilmer's improvised tension. Val Kilmer's Iceman is the perfect frenemy, but did you know a lot of that tension was unscripted? Kilmer and Cruise weren't exactly besties on set. Some say Cruise's intense method acting rubbed Kilmer the wrong way. So, Kilmer leaned into it, making Iceman's icy stares and that iconic tooth chomp extra personal. The "You're dangerous" line felt like Val was reading Cruise's soul. It's like they were method acting their rivalry, and it made the movie electric. Imagine the rap party. Awkward silences, probably some passive-aggressive nacho stealing. Moral of the story: sometimes real beef makes fake beef taste better. Speaking of rivalries, let's talk about the Navy's glow-up. Number 6. The film's opening scene was shot on the USS Enterprise. That epic, slow-motion opening with jets launching off the USS Enterprise looks almost too cinematic to be real. But it is. And before you ask, no, not the Star Trek ship, although that crossover would have been wild. We're talking about the actual U.S. Navy aircraft carrier, the USS Enterprise CVN-65, which was fully operational during filming. Director Tony Scott reportedly loved how the morning light hit the deck, so much so that he paid the Navy thousands of dollars just to turn the ship around and catch that perfect golden glow. Imagine having to tell your commanding officer, "Hey, can you rotate your 90,000-ton warship a bit? The lighting's off." Everything you see in that sequence, the jets, the deck crew, the sweat, the steam, was 100% authentic. The crew had to film while the ship was actually running drills, which sounds cool until you remember that one wrong move near a fighter jet engine can turn you into human confetti. So yeah, method filmmaking, but with a dash of mortal danger. Number 7. Tony Scott's dangerous filming tricks. Director Tony Scott wasn't content with toy models. He wanted real danger. He filmed actual dogfights with Navy pilots pushing F-14 to 10 Gs, capturing footage from helmet cams and in-cockpit mounts. One sequence nearly went south when a jet spun out during a high-speed pass, echoing Goose's fate a bit too closely. Scott himself flew in the backseat of fighters, puking his guts out but yelling, "That's the shot!" Safety, optional. The Navy loved the authenticity but drew lines at outright crashes. Fun fact, Scott's reckless style later influenced his brother Ridley, but here it was, life-on-the-line cinema. Dark humor alert. If Top Gun had a blooper reel, it'd be pilots' near-death confessions over coffee. Number 8. The Navy charged Paramount $7,800 per hour for jet fuel. That's right. Every time they flew an F-14 for filming, Paramount paid the Navy nearly $8,000 an hour. The Navy loaned F-14s for free, but charged $7,800 per hour for flight time. Dogfight scenes torched millions. Paramount's $15 million budget ballooned with 700-plus jet hours per production notes. Carriers cost extra, and weather delays? Cha-ching. Tony Scott reshot endlessly for perfection. Dark twist, cash burn mirrored real military waste. F-14S retired costly in the 90s. Pilots risked lives for Hollywood gold, with one near miss costing downtime. It's capitalism at Mach speed. Glamour paid for in fuel and fear. Top Gun grossed $357 million. So worth it? Sure, but imagine the bean counters sweating more than Slider. Budget bust or box office blast-off? Both, baby. Number 9. The volleyball scene was added last minute. It wasn't in the original script. It was added to appeal to a broader audience. Mission accomplished and oiled. That steamy beach volleyball montage? Pure 80s beefcake gold, but it nearly got director Tony Scott fired. Shot on a scorching California beach, the actors baked under the sun for hours, slathered in oil and sweat to nail the perfect slow-mo spike. The scene was scripted as a real game, but Scott filmed it like a music video, which infuriated Paramount execs. The Navy wasn't thrilled either, calling it unmilitary. Still, Scott insisted it was all about sex appeal, and it worked. The scene became iconic, even if it cost a full day of shooting and nearly cost Scott his job. Hollywood, where abs matter more than plot. Number 10. Goose's death. Foreshadowing in plain sight. All right, grab a tissue or don't if you prefer emotional suppression, because Goose's death still hurts decades later. But the truth is, the movie warned us. Remember that bar scene where Goose is just vibing on the piano, singing Great Balls of Fire? The man was literally singing about burning up. That's cinematic foreshadowing so obvious it's practically waving a red flag. Later, his F-14 goes into a flat spin and, well, let's just say things get toasty. Director Tony Scott was a master of visual irony, and this was one of his cruelest little winks. It's like he said, "You like this guy? Cool. Don't get too attached." The tragic part is that Goose was based on real-life naval officers, guys who really did risk their lives flying those beasts. However, it turns out Goose shouldn't have died. More on that in Fact 20. If you're enjoying this D-flyby of Top Gun, go ahead and strike that like button. Seriously, it helps us keep uncovering the wild stuff movies don't tell you. And while you're at it, drop a comment. I want to hear which fact shocked you the most so far. Number 11. The Navy's Hollywood glow-up. The U.S. Navy saw Top Gun as their ultimate PR stunt, and boy, did they cash in. They loaned out real F-14 Tomcats, carriers like the USS Enterprise, and even let pilots fly actual combat maneuvers for filming. All for free, as long as the script made them look like gods among men. Paramount got script approval from Navy brass, who nixed anything portraying sailors as screw-ups. One draft had Maverick washing out? Nope, vetoed. The result? A recruitment boom. Navy enlistments jumped 400% after release per Pentagon stats. It's like the military traded dignity for a blockbuster glow-up. Dark side. All that heroism hid the real risks pilots face daily. Hollywood heroism or deadly bait? You decide. Number 12. Tom Cruise did most of his own flying in the sequel, but not in 1986. Here's a fun bit of movie trivia that feels very on-brand for Tom Cruise. In the original Top Gun, he wasn't actually allowed to touch the flight controls. Yep, Maverick himself was just along for the ride while real Navy pilots did the heavy lifting. The U.S. Navy had this tiny rule about not letting actors crash $30 million jets. Reasonable. Fast forward a few decades, Top Gun, Maverick rolls around, and suddenly, Cruise isn't just sitting in the cockpit for the shot, he's actually flying. By this point, he'd logged hundreds of flight hours, owned multiple aircraft, and apparently decided gravity was just a mild suggestion. Of course, he didn't fly the FA-18S. Those are still off limits unless your resume includes fighter pilot. But he did fly smaller training jets for real. And every shot of him straining against G-forces was totally authentic. Basically, the man looked at motion sickness and said, "Not today." Number 13. The real Viper appears in the movie. Here's a neat little Easter egg most people miss. That older guy Charlie's chatting with at the bar, the one who makes Maverick look like he's third-wheeling on his own love story, is actually a real Top Gun instructor. His name's Pete Viper Pettigrew. Yes, the Viper. And he's not just a consultant. He's a bona fide Navy pilot who served in Vietnam and taught at the actual Top Gun school. In the movie, he plays Charlie's date, a nice little nod to the real-life inspiration behind the character Viper in the film. It's one of those blink-and-you'll-miss-it cameos that adds a bit of authenticity to the chaos. Pettigrew was also one of the people making sure the movie didn't turn into a cartoon version of Navy aviation. So while Tom Cruise was pretending to be the best of the best, Pettigrew was sitting there like, "Yeah, kid, I've actually done this." Number 14. Val Kilmer didn't want to be in the movie. Val Kilmer, aka Iceman, didn't actually want to be in Top Gun. He was literally forced into it because of his studio contract. Imagine showing up to work because your boss legally owns your Tuesday. Kilmer has said he wasn't too excited about the script or the idea of another rah-rah military movie. But once filming started, something clicked, mostly because he realized he could make Iceman the ultimate calm, confident rival to Cruise's reckless Maverick. That icy, slightly arrogant attitude? Totally genuine. The man was radiating the energy of someone who'd rather be anywhere else, and it worked beautifully. Ironically, his reluctant performance helped make Top Gun what it is. The chemistry between him and Cruise, half professional respect, half "please don't talk to me," gave us one of the best rivalries of the 80s. So yeah, maybe Iceman's chill demeanor wasn't acting. It was just a man quietly fulfilling his legal obligations while wearing a flight suit. Number 15. Anthony Edwards was the only actor who didn't vomit. During the film's flight training, the cast actually went up in real fighter jets to make the aerial scenes more realistic. The result was absolute chaos. Apparently, every actor got sick at some point, except for one, Anthony Edwards, the guy who played Goose. While everyone else was busy discovering what lunch looks like in zero gravity, Edwards just sat there, completely fine, probably humming Great Balls of Fire in his head. The Navy pilots loved him for it. Tom Cruise, meanwhile, was having what could generously be described as a character-building experience. The G-forces in those jets can hit 7 or 8 Gs. That's basically your entire body weighing 8 times more than normal. Most people black out, puke, or both. But Goose? Cool as ever. The guy could handle jet spins, barrel rolls, and still smile for the camera. Number 16. Stunt pilot Art Scholl died during filming. Not every part of Top Gun's production was glamorous. One of the film's stunt pilots, Art Scholl, a highly respected aerial cinematographer, tragically died while shooting footage for the movie. He was performing a maneuver to capture a flat spin scene, the same type of spin that takes Goose and Maverick down later in the film. But during the real-life stunt, something went wrong. Scholl's plane entered an unrecoverable spin off the coast of California. His final radio transmission was chillingly calm. "I have a problem. I have a real problem." Moments later, his aircraft disappeared into the ocean. Despite search efforts, neither his body nor the plane was ever recovered. The movie was dedicated to him, and rightfully so. Scholl wasn't just a stuntman, he was a professor of aeronautics, a licensed mechanic, and a pioneer in aerial cinematography, having worked on over 200 films and air shows. His death remains one of the most sobering reminders that behind all the movie magic, real people take real risks. Number 17. Tony Scott paid $25,000 to turn an aircraft carrier. Director Tony Scott had a thing for perfect lighting. So during filming on the USS Enterprise, he spotted the perfect sunset angle, the kind of glow that makes everything look like a recruitment ad for the afterlife, and asked the ship's captain to turn the carrier around so he could film it. The captain said sure, but it would cost $25,000. Most people would have laughed and walked away. Tony Scott? He whipped out his checkbook on the spot. The ship turned. He got his shot. The lighting was flawless. One tiny issue, the check bounced. Still, the story became Hollywood legend, not just because of the financial oopsie, but because it captures exactly who Tony Scott was. The man didn't just chase good shots, he chased the shot, even if it meant accidentally writing bad checks to the U.S. Navy. It's a perfect mix of ambition, chaos, and cinematic obsession, the kind of energy that made Top Gun feel larger than life. Number 18. The film was inspired by a magazine article. Believe it or not, Top Gun exists because someone was killing time flipping through a magazine. In 1983, producers Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer stumbled upon an article in California magazine titled Top Guns, a deep dive into the Navy's elite fighter weapons school in Miramar. It described the pilots, their adrenaline-fueled training, and the high-risk world of aerial combat like it was a soap opera with missiles. The producers read it and basically said, "This isn't an article, it's a blockbuster." They immediately bought the rights, called up Paramount, and the rest is pop culture history. It's kind of funny when you think about it. All those iconic quotes, jet stunts, and volleyball scenes started with a piece of journalism. Imagine writing a feature story and accidentally launching Tom Cruise's career into the stratosphere. Meanwhile, the article's author, Ehud Yonah, just sat there like, "Cool, so I inspired global aviation propaganda. Neat." Number 19. The Danger Zone. Song wasn't the first choice. It's almost impossible to imagine Top Gun without Kenny Loggins yelling, "Highway to the Danger Zone," over roaring jet engines. But fun fact, he wasn't even the first choice. The producers originally wanted Toto to perform the song. Yep, the same band that blessed the rains down in Africa was supposed to bless the skies over Miramar. But due to some scheduling issues, and possibly divine intervention, Toto couldn't do it. Enter Kenny Loggins, the reigning king of 80s movie soundtracks. He was basically the musical equivalent of duct tape. If your movie needed energy, he could fix it. Loggins took the track, added his signature gravelly intensity, and turned it into a full-blown anthem. The result? A song so iconic that even people who've never seen Top Gun can hum it from memory. It became the kind of track that makes you want to wear aviators indoors and walk in slow motion everywhere you go. Number 20. The Ejection Seat Myth. Remember Goose's canopy-smashing ejection death? Dramatic as hell, but basically complete nonsense. Real F-14s used Martin Baker ejection seats designed to blast both crew members out simultaneously and safely. According to Navy specs, Goose should have survived just fine. The physics of the movie were fudged for maximum drama. The filmmakers even used a custom rig that mangled the dummy in ways that no pilot in history would ever experience. Consultant pilots warned Tony Scott it was unrealistic. But the director wanted tears, plain and simple. Now don't get me wrong, ejections are dangerous. Here's a bonus fact for you. In real life, roughly 20 to 30% of ejections result in serious injury or death, usually from G-forces, landing gear, or sheer bad luck. So it's not like pilots float out of jets unscathed every day. But the movie made it look like tragedy was inevitable from physics alone, rather than an extremely high-stakes yet survivable procedure. All right, that's a wrap on our Top Gun secrets. If you loved geeking out with me today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss future videos. And hey, leave a comment with your favorite moment from the movie. I'll be reading every single one, and I'll reply to you all. And if you thought Top Gun had wild stories, wait till you hear what went down behind the scenes of Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back.
Wow, that was weird.